Is it possible for David Moyes to win back the support of the West Ham fan base that he has lost? Now, let's be clear here. He's not lost the entire West Ham fan base. There are plenty of West Ham fans that are happy with Moyes as manager of West Ham United. Let's put them in the Moyes in camp and leave them there. This isn't a Moyes in versus Moyes out debate show. You know my feelings. I'm in the Moyes out camp, but there are people in the Moyes in one, and I'm not going to tell them their opinion's wrong. That's their opinion. I don't agree with it, but just because I don't agree with it, I'm not going to say their opinion is incorrect. That's their view. And this video isn't necessarily about that. It's for those in the Moyes out camp, which is, can David Moyes essentially get us to move over to the Moyes in camp? Can Moyes turn this around with the support of the West Ham United fans? Now, I find myself surprised I'm even asking that question this morning, because it wasn't really a thought process I had until reading social media and reading comments in this comment section of the review last night in regards to David Moyes' actions after the game against Fulham. Now, when we beat Fulham yesterday, happy days. I expected the discussion point to be performance versus result. It usually happens. When West Ham play well and we win, there's not much debate to be had. We've played well, we've got the 3 points, we deserved it. Happy days, we move on to next week. Likewise, if we play poorly and we get beat, and we deserve to have got beat, but again, there's not much debate to be had. There can be debate around certain individuals or who should be playing or what went wrong, but generally, the vibe is that everybody has the same opinion, which is we deserve to get beat. But there's two outcomes in the middle of that, which usually triggers discussions, which when West Ham play well, but lose, or when West Ham play poorly, like yesterday, but yet win. And those two outcomes usually trigger results versus performances. So if you play well, but you don't win, well, we maintain that form, we play like that next week, we'll pick up points. The points will sort themselves out. The results will follow these performances. Likewise, yesterday, play poorly but win, it triggers a discussion point. Can we do that for the rest of the season? Can we yield the results doing that? That will keep us in the Premier League next season. Well, the truth is we don't know, do we? It's going to be very, very close either way. We might just do it, we might not do it. But I expected that to be the discussion point after yesterday's win at Fulham because of the poor performance. But this morning, and in the comments after the review, there was people talking about how David Moyes did not clap their away fans, and it's caused a bit of a debate. Should he have clapped their away fans? You have to take everything into consideration here. And yesterday specifically isolated, which I think is unfair, but let's just isolate it. There were some people suggested he was booed as he came out the tunnel at the start of the game. I know a few people at the game yesterday, I've spoken to them. A couple said he was booed, a couple said he wasn't. So I'm inconclusive on that part. If you were at the game watching this, please do let me know in the comments. But regardless, one thing that certainly did happen was there was a Moyes out banner in the away end. And another thing that certainly did happen was the chance of you don't know what you're doing when he did these substitutions. And as a result of that, at full time, David Moyes did not clap the away end. Now, I think part of the problem is it was at Craven Cottage because it's not a traditional stadium where the tunnel is in the middle of the main stand with a dugout either side, so you could have just snuck down the tunnel after the game and it wouldn't have caused an issue really. I mean, some people might have said, he didn't come over to the away end, but you would have had to travel to the away end and then back again if you wished to clap the fans. To sneak out would have been a bit easier, but because of Craven Cottage, you had to cross the pitch and then across the face of the away fans. There was no escaping that. David Moyes could not escape the away fans, and he had a decision to make at this point, which is, do I clap those fans or do I not clap those fans? And he decided not to, and it's not gone down well with some people, and there's some people defending David Moyes. I think it's a bit of an awkward situation for him actually, because, and this is, like I said, isolated, just that. I'm not talking about all the stuff that's happened prior, but you do have to take that into consideration for context in this, I feel. But because of all that, it's led me to the question, which is, can he win the support back? And I was thinking about this morning, what is the best case scenario? What is the best case scenario between now and the end of the season? Well, we know what that is. We stay up, we finish 14th in the Premier League. Let's just say 14th. It sounds not too bad, does it? So we finish 14th and we win the Conference League. The best outcome is we stay up comfortably and win that trophy. Even if he did that, that is the best case scenario. If he did that, is that enough for people in the Moyes out camp to jump back into the Moyes in camp? I don't think it is. I can only speak for myself here. I'm only speaking for me. From now on, this is my opinion, okay? Please give yours in the comments below, but this is my opinion. I don't think it is. I say I don't think it is. I almost want to say I know it's just not enough, because I feel all this has sort of been coming. There's an opinion in football that if you lose the dressing room, if the manager loses the dressing room, there's no way back from that. That's a general vibe. Now, there will be cases, there will be scenarios where the manager has lost the dressing room, but he has managed to claw it back. But they're few and far between, especially more recently, which I'm sure if you went back to the 90s or something, you could pick out quite a few examples. But if you tried doing it from 2020 onwards, I'd be impressed if you could come up with a lot of examples, especially in the Premier League, where the manager has lost the dressing room and managed to turn it round. It's a very difficult thing to do. However, what about when you lose the fan base? Can a manager lose the fan base and win them back round? I would suggest so. But I think it depends how you do it, and I think it's about how you conduct yourself to some extent. And that's why when I was doing the build-up show for the Fulham game, I was speaking about how someone asked a hypothetical question about, if we stay up and win it, does that make Moyes one of our best ever managers, kind of thing. And for me, well, yeah, he's won a European trophy. That sort of catapults him up quite high in the ranking of West Ham managers. Of course it would. But I do feel time is required. I think immediately you'd begrudge saying it. You wouldn't really want to say it because you've got a strong opinion which is negative towards David Moyes. But give it time, 5 years, 10 years, you would look back a bit more fondly at David Moyes' time, and you'd be able to celebrate the success of winning a trophy greater. And I think that happens with players as well. Players leave, over time you get more fond of them, and I think you start to almost make them better than they actually were. Pedro Obiang is probably a good example here, because he was an average Premier League player. He was all right for West Ham, right? He was okay, but that's it. He wasn't anything better than average. But yeah, as time's gone on, and when you see people speak about Pedro Obiang as if he was some sort of like fantastic Premier League centre midfielder, he was just average. But because of time, you start to elevate them a little bit, and I think that's what would happen with David Moyes. But that's in years to come. This summer, the best case scenario is to do that. I'm not sure it's enough to win back the support. And yesterday was an away section that's just been pushed too far by David Moyes. And it's not just the results, and it's not just the performances on the pitch, because we've had managers here at West Ham in the past that have done that. Slaven Bilic is the prime example here. Possibly somebody that has got better as time's gone on. We've looked back at him fondly, and I know I certainly do. He's one of my all-time... He is my favourite West Ham manager. I was too young for Harry Redknapp, so after Redknapp, Bilic is my favourite West Ham manager. And when people say, but he's crap, I'm not saying he was a fantastic... I'm not saying he's the best manager. I'm saying he was my favourite one. And a big part of the reason for that is because of the respect he had for the fan base, the love he had for the fan base. And I mean, yes, I feel like the way he went about trying to win games and that, he just wasn't very good at it, but that he had the intent there, and I enjoyed that. But never did he say a bad word about West Ham fans. And it's a bit like Allardyce cupping his ear. Moyes has taken a lot of swipes at this fan base over the last few months. A lot of them. Almost every single game, whether it's in the pre-match press conference or in post-match interviews, it feels like every game now I'm almost expecting him to say something negative towards fan base. We can go back to before the World Cup, when we played Crystal Palace and Ben Rama got taken off and everybody at the London Stadium booed. And after the game, Moyes said, oh yeah, there are a lot of experts out there. He started swiping at us pre-World Cup. He started having a few digs, and I do not like it. And I know people will say, yeah, but you have a negative opinion about Moyes, so why can he not have one about you? But not everybody does, though. In that away end yesterday, there have been some fans that are supporters of David Moyes. And Moyes not going over to clap because of the banner and because of the "You Don't Know What You're Doing" song. Like I said, it's an awkward one for him, because I do kind of get it. But in that away end, there might have been some fans on the fence. We don't know. There might have been. Might have been some fans who don't necessarily want to see him sacked, but they don't necessarily want to see him stay beyond the summer. I don't know. I'm guessing. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're now pushed off the fence because of David Moyes. And that lack of respect I feel he's got for the fans, it just goes too much. It's too much for me sometimes. And he keeps on reminding us, you've had it good for 2 years. You've had it good for 2 years, as if that means we have to then suffer this. And had he been... I do feel like had he shown more respect for the fan base in the last few months, I think things might have been a bit easier on him. But one thing that winds me up about him is those comments that he continues to make about the Newcastle one. Now, I actually think he got stitched up a little bit post-Newcastle because he said about how true supporters stay to the end of the match or something like that. And it was taken out of context. That was taken out and it's put everywhere. But his whole interview, he was talking very good. He was saying the supporters were really good that night, etc. And he also said that if he was there, he'd have probably left as well. He said, I don't blame anyone for leaving. But he couldn't just leave at that. He still had to add in the bit, which is true supporters stay till the end. True supporters support us in the bad times as well as the good times kind of thing. And I just think we've had it worse than this as West Ham fans. As West Ham fans, this is not as bad as it gets. We've had it worse and we've still turned up. When he goes, we will still turn up. And the funny thing is there's some people no longer going because of him. But that's an argument for another day. So, as for the Moyes out banner, I get it. I get why somebody would do that. I get why someone would take the banner. Would I ever do it? No, I wouldn't. But it doesn't mean that whoever did it was wrong. That person's just voicing his opinion. But this is where we've been pushed to this point. That person that brought that banner has been pushed to the point because Moyes is still here. Now, I don't know whose it was. I don't need to speak to him. But fans will react when they get pushed so far. Let's go back to Burnley at home when Bubbles ran on the pitch with a corner flag. We were, as a fan base, we were pushed to the point where protest was where we got to. That was the end result. Bubbles did what he felt he had to do for the greater good of the football club to make a stand against the owners. Arguably, and I still would argue, it worked. I would argue it worked. That banner yesterday, is it going to work? No, because Moyes is not going to get sacked. But somebody has been pushed to that point where he feels he needs to take in a banner which says Moyes out. The fans singing, you don't know what you're doing. Now, actually, in hindsight, those substitutions were really good. Downs came on, played really well. Ben Rama came on and was effective and arguably more effective than Pablo Fornals. But that doesn't mean the fan base were wrong to be frustrated yesterday. Those fans yesterday at Craven Cottage were superb for 90 minutes. They were fantastic, non-stop singing from the start to the finish. And like I said, I know some people that went, a lot of them have said it's the best atmosphere they've been in all season, etc, etc. Moyes quite often says he needs the support of the team, of the fan base. Moyes quite often, as we've discussed, doesn't mind calling out the fan base a little bit, whether it's slyly or directly. He got it yesterday. So when he says, we need to support us in good times, bad, they turned up yesterday and they were in full voice. And I just think I do feel like he's made an error in not clapping that way, fans, because like I said, while he might look over and see the banner and think, do one, while he might listen to you don't know what you're doing, thinking, do one, but that song, that banner doesn't reflect everybody's opinion in their way end yesterday at Craven Cottage. And I think he did wrong by those fans to not acknowledge them. It's a difficult one to discuss, to be honest with you, but like I said, it raised a question for me, which is, well, can he win the support back? And when I look at the best case scenario for the remainder of this season, which is staying up and winning that trophy, is that enough? And like I said, I can only speak for me. It's not, though. It really isn't enough for me. That is the ideal scenario, by the way. That is what I hope happens. I know it's what Gonzo hopes happens, that we stay up and we win the trophy. That is what we want. That would be, I was going to say perfect, not really. And like I said, at the start of the season, I will always say this. At the start of the season, if you offered me 17th and winning the Conference League, would I take it? Yes, I would. Okay, I would. I'm going to change my mind. Of course I would. But I just don't enjoy the journey from August to May when we're in a relegation battle and the football is like that. I can't enjoy it. I do not enjoy it. I might, hopefully, if we win the trophy, I will enjoy winning the trophy. I will absolutely love it. I'll celebrate it, yada, yada, yada. And I will give Moyes credit for winning that trophy because I can split the two. I can split what we're doing in the Premier League to what we're doing in the Conference League. It's two different competitions. The performances are different. Finishing 17th is nothing to be given credit for. That's a poor season. You're one step away from a disaster of a season. But to win the Conference League, that part, fantastic. It's a really good achievement. Well done. But combined, that doesn't necessarily just override the Premier League thing altogether. You have to take everything into consideration. So the ideal scenario, we stay up and we win it. But is that enough to put me back into the Moyes in camp? Not really. I think there's a bit in the middle, which is sort of thanks, David Moyes. You kept us up. Had 2 really good seasons of European football. We've won, hypothetically, we've won a trophy, but now's the time to go. And I think that feels like the ideal scenario, because once you've lost the fan base, or the majority of the fan base, which is how it feels, I think it's incredibly difficult to get it back as a manager. And the way to not do it, unfortunately, is the way that David Moyes is going about it. Because these swipes he's had, I don't think they're finished. I think we'll have a few more of them between now and the end of the season. He doesn't have the respect for the fan base. And yesterday, I think we saw that him feeling like he can't clap their away fans, or he doesn't want to clap their away fans, is not because of what happened at Craven Cottage yesterday. Yes, the banner, yes, the song, that might have pushed him over the edge, but it wasn't just that. It's been a build-up of all this time. It's been his comments, it's been his football. That is what's caused it all. It's a horrible situation. There's no winners in this case, but it's something I do feel was avoidable and self-inflicted by the manager. I do feel like that. But anyway, there's my wondering and my ramble for this morning. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it by clicking thumbs up. Helps the channel out. Subscribe if you're new to Hammers Chat. And I'll catch up with you tomorrow.